So over the past 2 weeks and some change, I've spent some quality time with the M4 MacBook Pro, the base model that goes for $1,600 normally, maybe less depending on what kind of discount you get. And yeah, it's a fantastic value laptop, probably the best value in years. And that's because it's no longer hindered not only by design, which was taken care of last year with the M3 base model that inherited the 2021 design, but this year, the M4 MacBook Pro base model inherits some pro-level performance that we have not seen at this price point or level. So yeah, I think that the base model has sort of been abolished. Like, it's the base model, but it's no longer sort of acting like one, which is great for you guys who don't want to spend $1 billion on a new MacBook Pro. So in this video, I'm gonna give you my review. So to no one's surprise, we're gonna first talk about design, although I'll make it brief because, you know, like, we've seen this. This was the design in 2021. They brought it to the actual higher level MacBook Pros as, you know, the new novelty. Not really, I mean, it was a practical design, but that was the new thing to sort of spend $2 grand plus on. And they kept the base model MacBook Pro, that touch barred, horrific, just ensemble, until 2023, when they brought this design to the base model once again, but in sort of a limited way, which I'll elaborate more on. But yeah, I mean, we have this design here. That's a big reason to buy one of these. If you have an M1 or even an M2 MacBook Pro, you get, you know, this wonderful squared off industrial look. You get HDMI, you get MagSafe, and you just get more ports in general, which I'll touch on. So yeah, it is a wonderful piece of tech. Just in general, the MacBook Pro as a product category, and this design is still kicking. It's still great. I wouldn't be surprised if the next gen versions will look like this. And also too, we now have Space Black in the base model. It's no longer a Pro, you know, equipped chip feature or color. So yeah, go crazy, go buy one of these for the new design. I think it's a great year to do it because, again, there's enough, you know, M chips out there. There's enough of a gap to where, you know, you're not just upgrading just for the design. If you're going from M2 to M3, if you're going M1 to M4, M2 to M4, the design is totally worth it. And expanding off design, next up, let's talk about connectivity or the port situation. I forgot to mention that the 2021 design has the SD card reader, which is a godsend. But anyway, this year we get an extra USB-C port with the base model. I said that I'd elaborate on how the design was watered down with the base M3, and it was because you only had these two USB-C or Thunderbolt ports, which was better than nothing, but, you know, it was no better than a MacBook Air. And if you're buying a Pro, you know, you definitely want more connectivity. And this is important if you want to, you know, dock or put your laptop on a desk and hook it up to a display. You no longer have to sort of orient it a certain way. You can put it forwards or backwards or left or right or however you want to put it. You also have an extra port to connect the drive to. Like, that's super important. So if you're plugged into a display, you know, maybe you want to plug into a SSD or a peripheral or a dongle or whatever without having to, you know, go to the only other available one, or maybe it's not available. Maybe you're charging, maybe, you know, both ports are occupied and you don't have room for a dongle. This extra port makes a huge, huge difference, and this was a big differentiating factor between the base model and the Pro chip model, which you pay $400 more for. And, you know, I get performance costing more, but the port situation, it was just kind of, you know, not great. So I'm really happy that you get the extra port here on top of course, HDMI, the SD card reader, and MagSafe, which are a huge deal if you haven't had that on your disgusting touch-barred MacBook Pro. People are like, how could you say that? You know, in hindsight, you know, hindsight's 2020, and, you know, that redesign was just a mistake. It was a downgrade from the wonderful the 2012 through 2015 MacBook Pro Retina, which was beloved. So this is the best of both worlds, you know, new and improved, but also robust and squared off, and you got the ports and all that. You know, you're buying a MacBook Pro, not a MacBook Air. But with design and ports and all that out of the way, next up I want to talk about the very pro display on this laptop, hence the name. And it's one of the big ticket items that you're paying for here. You know, this is where a lot of your money is going as it turns off. It is a wonderful panel here. 14 inches is definitely a good sweet spot for screen real estate. It's mini LED, apparently quantum dot, which is better. It's very bright, which I'll touch on in a minute here, and of course high refresh rate with ProMotion, which makes a big difference for casual stuff and some professional usage or whatever. It just makes the whole experience feel a lot more slick, a lot more fast, fluid, whatever. I really love it, and I can't wait to see that on desktop monitors like the Studio Display, Pro Display, but that's besides the point here. It got brighter this year, so it'll get up to 1,000 nits of brightness SDR, so not like special case scenarios where Apple, sort of makes portions of the display brighter. It makes the whole display bright regardless of what you're doing. The catch is it's only in bright conditions or outdoor conditions, which is fine because that's really when you would notice if your brightness wasn't sort of pulling through. Older models would max out at 500 to 600 nits, which would again be noticeable outdoors or in a bright condition where you need more. There is a workaround to this. It's called Vivid, or an app called Vivid, not sponsored. Download it, pay for it, it's worth it. It sort of tricks your display into thinking it's in like an XDR, HDR mode, so it outputs more brightness. It probably sucks more battery, but it's very much worth it. But yeah, it's nice that Apple is pushing this level of brightness by default in bright conditions. I would think it's because of better battery efficiency, maybe the quantum dot stuff, I don't know. There's also a new nano texture display mode, not mode, coating, it's not a coating, it's literally etched into the glass, so coating is the wrong word, but you get what I mean. It is a really cool feature. I know in a previous video I said that I was sort of gung-ho and gonna go get it, but yeah, I don't know. I love me a glossy display. However, the new nano texture really eliminates a lot of, shininess or reflectivity here. As you can see here, I have this light that's totally doing that with this display right here. If it was the nano texture, you wouldn't see that at all. It would just be dispersed more nicely. And yeah, I mean, if you're using a laptop like a laptop, you are definitely in conditions that are less than ideal, especially in bright conditions. So it's an extra 150 bucks. You do have to pre-configure it. Maybe there's some at the store. I don't know. I think it's a pre-configured thing, so you have to do it sort of manually on their website or order it special. But it's worth it if you are constantly outside or using your laptop in bright conditions. It is a meaningful upgrade, and I would say it's more meaningful than, if you're getting it on a Pro Display or a Studio Display or an iPad. Like a laptop makes the most sense for this feature, and a lot of creators, including myself, have noticed this. So yeah, I will definitely be considering it myself if I get a bigger and badder model for my insane video editing workflow. Nonetheless, I'm so glad this is a feature available on the base model and not locked to higher end models. But real quick though, before we continue with the video here, I want to briefly show off my favorite new bedroom fixture here that today's video sponsor, Cheetah Living, was kind enough to send my way to check out. This is their Theo Power Swivel Glider Recliner. Quite the name, but it's a very simple product and I absolutely love it. Not only does this recliner look great with its modern design that matches the vibe of my apartment, but it feels great as well with high quality fabric material or faux leather with different models. More importantly though, the Theo's cushions offer a lot of support and comfort, especially when you toggle the Tranquil Recline feature with the side toggle. There's also a nifty little USB-A port there too, which you can use to recharge your phone or tablet, which is pretty nice. And as the name suggested earlier, this chair also swivels 270 degrees, so it'll dynamically fit in whatever corner or room you put it in. I love using this thing for my obligatory doom scrolling, working on my laptop, and use with Vision Pro, especially when fully reclined. It feels like I'm at a movie theater without the extra cost and hassle, which is amazing. All in all, and again, I absolutely love this thing. I didn't know how much I needed a recliner. Cheetah Living offers free shipping, 30-day returns, and a 1-year warranty, so definitely check this recliner out. I'll leave a link in the video description down below if you're interested. It's currently 7:06 in the morning. This is because the year before I had no brand deals and didn't make any money. And then this year, all of the brand deals ever came my way. And what did I say? I said yes to 25 different things. And now I'm doing 3 months of work in a single month. But anyway, next up I want to talk about battery life, which is a pretty straightforward topic, but very important nonetheless. This year with the base M4 model, we get 24 hours of mixed usage or web surfing or video playback or whatever Apple's metric is on their website here, up from 22 last year with the M3 base model. I think this is thanks to the M4 being more power efficient, 3nm Gen 2 opposed to Gen 1. Also, even more impressively in my opinion, this gets 6 more hours of battery life opposed to the M3 Pro MacBook Pro from last year, which I I think is equally powerful, and I'll argue that in a future point in this video here. So you get a lot of screen on time here, the same that you get with the 16-inch MacBook Pro, which has an even bigger battery. I mean, granted, a beefier chip, but nonetheless, I mean, really impressive battery life here. I think you get even better battery life than the MacBook Air. Maybe we'll see better battery life with the M4 MacBook Airs that are coming out next year, but I mean, this is like the best laptop or MacBook battery life that you can get next to the much more expensive 16-inch models. So yeah, I mean, if you're looking for a battery champ, this is definitely a device you're going to want to pick up. The sun is coming up and I haven't gone to bed yet. And again, this is my fault. I chose to not sleep, but you know, daddy's paying the bills. And to bring it all home here, I want to build off something I just said in the battery portion. I said the M3 Pro MacBook Pro from last year, the $2,000 plus laptop with the Pro variant chip, is equivalent performance-wise to the base M4 MacBook Pro this year. That pretty much sums up the performance or specs part of this video, or you know, specs with regard to performance. The base model is no joke. You're getting so much more for your money here. The M4 chip is a huge improvement over the M3 and M2 chips, and of course the M1 chip. Crazy performance gains over the generations here. I think there's like a 60 to 70% gain over the M1 and like a 50 to 60% gain over the M2 CPU-wise. GPU is a little more modest, but I mean, like, you're getting M3 Pro level performance again. $2,000+ laptop performance for $1,600 or $1,400 or whatever you're gonna get it for on sale into Christmas or Black Friday or whatever. So you're getting so much more performance per dollar with this new M4 base model here, which is phenomenal if you're somebody who wants to video edit or do creative work or game or whatever. You don't have to worry about sort of settling with the base model and going, oh, well, I could have spent more to get more performance, but I don't need it. Well, you have it, you know, you have no choice. You're gonna get this powerful laptop out the gate, and it is paired with 16 gigs of RAM. Thank God. 8 gigabytes of RAM was a sham. It literally hindered the powerful M3, M2, and M1 chips. I had an 8 gigabyte M1 chip MacBook Pro. I was video editing off of it. I had to upgrade to a 16 gig one because it was literally choking up the processor. The M1 wasn't the problem, the RAM was. So yeah, it's really important to have that RAM. You now have it. And this will enable you to do things beyond like the typical, the casual, you know, word processing, email, all that. And even that gets choked up with not enough RAM. So to sort of recap here, we get the most powerful base chip in years. I mean, like, this is no joke. Once again, you get so much performance per dollar, and you're not bottlenecking it with 8 gigabytes of RAM, which is a crime. So yeah, they abolished that. They made it extinct across the board. You can even buy an M2 MacBook Air with 16 gigs of RAM for I think like $8.99, even cheaper on Best Buy or other sites. Great deal, by the way. You get a badass color. You get an extra port, you get an even brighter display, and even better battery life. I mean, how can you pass this up? And again, like, you know, this is no longer a base laptop. I think I was saying that at the beginning. Like, it used to be sort of like a MacBook Air with a fan. No longer. They have brought down the MacBook Pro high tier features to this. So yeah, in short, you're essentially getting an M3 Pro MacBook Pro without having to pay $2,000 for it. So $1,600 plus you get better battery life, plus it's newer, newer generation chip tech and all that good stuff. So it is a phenomenal value. And yeah, it's the first, or this is the first year that I can go say like, yeah, go buy a base MacBook Pro. You're not gonna regret it. Whereas last year, the M3 model, again, was more like a MacBook Air and a MacBook Pro disguise. And that was good because the design and the display and the MagSafe and all that was, necessary. The base model MacBook Pro was that touch-barred monstrosity for a while. But yeah, it just was a MacBook Air in MacBook Pro clothing, and that is no longer the case. And that about wraps up this video here. I hope it was helpful. Check out more of my content. I got more coming soon. Check out my link to Cheetah Living as well. That recliner over here is absolutely phenomenal. And as always, I'm Noah, and I will catch you all in the next one.